ROG is now more than a decade old and has really proven itself as the de facto standard for enthusiast class motherboards. And as now we've reached into this generation, really supporting the Z370 chipset in the latest generation series from Intel, the ROG series motherboards have really kind of dialed in and offer a specialized design which has been catered to different types of users. And as we touch on three separate boards, the MAXIMUS X HERO, the MAXIMUS X Formula, and the MAXIMUS X Apex, we'll see how these boards really differ in terms of offering specific functions and features which are tailored towards certain types of builds and certain types of users, but at the same time offer a high level of consistency that includes premium components, awesome aesthetics, outstanding overclocking capabilities, consistent controls for, of course, all aspects when it comes to cooling, and improvements in audio and networking, along with a lot more. So one of the defining characteristics for ROG series motherboards is unquestionably their overall aesthetics. Our ID team has really spent a huge amount of time to be able to really refine the lines, the patterns, the overall colors that are present on these boards to really offer, I think, the most premium looking boards that are on the market. And for this generation, when you take a look at the boards like the Formula, the Hero, and the Apex, they all offer a sense of continuity because they're all ROG series motherboards, but they're extremely unique and distinctive in terms of their overall look and their feel. When we take a look first and foremost at the Formula, you can see that unquestionably it's got a really specialized look, and this is really first and foremost because of the inclusion of the ROG armor. This shroud that covers the entirety of the board really gives it a distinct, modern, clean feel to it, and really doesn't expose any kind of the underlayers of PCB and onboard componentry that you might see on other motherboards. This is really why it's so popular for the latest trend in tempered glass panels, as well as for users that really want clean and minimal builds that are leveraging water cooling. Speaking of water cooling, this is another area where the board offers a really distinctive design aesthetic in the fact that it has an integrated water block built into its VRM heatsink. Now moving from the MAXIMUS X Formula, we move into the Hero. The Hero has really become kind of the sweet spot in the ROG family, and it's really popular amongst a lot of enthusiasts that are really looking kind of for the bang for their buck builds, but are really looking towards all those specialized functions and features that ROG series motherboards bring to it. Now this board, just like the Formula, offers a really distinctive design aesthetic, but there's continuity between the two boards as they're both monochromatic, so there's no contending colors to compete with the overall look and feel that you want to define for your build. And you can see that throughout the design that's present on the board. It's got a nice smattering of different types of colors that are all neutral in their base, so silver, black, a little bit of gunmetal gray, all combined together to really offer a clean look for the build. And it really also aligns with the overall kind of philosophy that we're seeing with more enthusiast-oriented builds that are looking to really be able to define the color choices, whether it's through customized RGB lighting as well as through custom colors and components. The last board that we have is the MAXIMUS X Apex, and while it's the newest in terms of an ROG series of motherboard, it really offers a really distinctive design element, and this is really because the PCB uses a non-traditional design, where most actual PCB boards are entirely squared off on their edges. This board features actually what we call our X-frame design, which has now become a hallmark for the Apex series of motherboards. This board has been purpose-built to offer the absolute pinnacle of overclocking design and performance, and this is one of the distinctive calling cards that the Apex brings to the table so that you know first and foremost this is different than any other motherboard out there. Now with all these boards being monochromatic or essentially neutral in their color tone, it really opens it up to builders out there to be able to define the color palette any which way they want through RGB lighting. With all these boards supporting ASUS Aura Sync, you have the ability to easily go ahead and control not only physical zones of onboard lighting that are present on the boards like the Hero, the Apex, and the Formula, but you can easily extend this with a wide range of different types of accessories, whether you're talking about LED strips, fans, chassis with integrated LED lighting, or of course physical components that you're going to have installed in your system like coolers, DRAM, graphics cards, and many other items. When you really take a look at the ASUS Aura ecosystem, it's really the most comprehensive at really defining the look and feel that you want for your system, and these boards make a perfect foundation to really allow you to have the most flexibility when it comes to defining the look and feel for your build. ROG users really demand the absolute best in terms of the overall build quality and the components that we use on our motherboards. This is partially to ensure that they've got the actual best-in-class type of products, but also to really unlock and enable the highest level of performance when it comes to overclocking. And when we take a look at all these boards, they are purpose-built with this purpose in mind. Now, all these boards are going to feature ultra high quality VRM components. So these are going to be our 10K rated capacitors, NEXFET MOSFETs, and advanced power stages. These components, when combined together, really allow for the highest level of VRM performance. So regardless if you're looking for 4.8, 4.9, 5 gigahertz, or even greater overclocking, you can feel confident that the power delivery is not going to be holding you back, and that it's also going to be extremely reliable even under sustained loads. Now, going directly alongside CPU overclocking is DRAM overclocking. Intel's memory controller that's present in these 8th generation CPUs is extremely impressive and allows for unprecedented DDR4 overclocking capabilities. When you talk about frequencies in the past, you were generally going to be limited to around 3600, maybe 3800 megahertz, and possibly 4000 megahertz. But with these series of motherboards, we've been able to get to highest levels of DDR4 overclocking that's never been seen before. In fact, actually, even for boards like our MAXIMUS Apex, which only features 2 DIMM slots but has been purposely designed for the most aggressive DDR4 overclocking capabilities, we've been easily able to break frequencies over 4,266 megahertz. So when you talk about overall not only having an outstanding CPU overclock, but also having an outstanding DRAM overclocking capability, these ROG boards are purpose-built for this. Now, when it comes to pushing a system, you definitely want to be able to ensure that you can have a good level of temperature performance for the VRM, because the cooler that the VRM operates, the better the long-term stability as well as the better efficiency that you're going to have for power delivery. The formula board, as we noted, offers a great hybrid solution. It offers a big, beefy, traditional passive heatsink that can fully work under air configurations, but of course, when you go ahead and incorporate custom water cooling, you're going to get the absolute best temperature performance possible. The Hero's got a really nice split heatsink design that covers 2 parts of the VRM in large mass heatsinks to really be able to offer stable and reliable experience for the vast majority of builds. And the Apex, though, takes things even further, featuring a much larger surface area with fins incorporated onto the heatsinks to even be able to allow for much greater airflow and dissipation performance, especially when you go about setting up this board in benchtop builds. Now, in addition to all the advanced controls that you have for, of course, standard air-cooled setups and all the fans that might come along in these type of builds, there's a lot of demands that users have when it comes to custom water cooling builds. And in these respects, these boards offer some really unique design implementations. And this comes in the implementation for our water cooling zone. You've got dedicated headers for temperature inlet and temperature outlet monitoring. This is fantastic when you're really looking to be able to see that your water loop is working the way that you want it to and you're getting the correct temperature performance. In addition to that, you also have dedicated flow monitoring so that you can ensure that the flow for your loop is working as intended. Now, M.2 SSDs have really become on trend for the latest generation of builds. They offer simple installation and extraordinarily high levels of performance, but one of the challenges that they present is that they can get very hot, especially under sustained reading and under sustained writing. In fact, they can get so hot that they can throttle, and you can actually receive significant reductions in performance for these M.2 drives. So what we've done on these ROG series of motherboards is be able to ensure that we've got really strong thermally isolated implementations. That means that we try to ensure that the M.2 drives are not by any hotspots. Many other vendors will place the M.2 drives directly underneath the primary physical x16 slot on the motherboard. This is in fact probably the worst place that you can place the actual M.2 drive, as it gets pooling of heat directly from the graphics card, and on top of the graphics card, you also have additional heat that's produced by the drive under sustained load, producing that throttle. With these boards, you're going to have better thermal isolation, which is going to help to ensure better performance, but these boards also feature M.2 heatsinks. These heatsinks can significantly help to reduce the heat when the drive's under load and be able to ensure the best long-term reliability and performance. And for the Apex takes things even further and features actually an industry-unique design implementation called our DIMM.2 design. There's literally a special add-in card that will install directly alongside your DRAM that allows you to install 2 M.2 SSDs and receive direct intake airflow from the front of your intake fans on your chassis to get the absolute best temperature performance possible. On top of that, there's even a direct header that's attached to this DIMM.2 add-in card to allow you to mount your own fans to cool your SSDs. Now, for many enthusiasts, when they take a look at the boards like these, they're definitely looking at the core specifications and the connectivity that the board offers. And in these respects, the ROG series boards definitely deliver. All the latest specifications that you could possibly ask for are all present here. You've got full support for USB 3.1, both Type A and Type C. You've got on 2 of the boards Gen 2 internal headers, which are great for the latest generation of chassis. And of course, for the current generation of chassis, you've got internal front USB 3 connectors. You've got your traditional SATA 6G ports. You've got PCIe expansion slots. All the boards feature dual M.2 slots, fully supporting NVMe RAID-based configurations. So all the way around, pretty much all the key specifications you could ask for are present. Now, for many gamers, of course, all the items that we've talked about are very important, but for many of them, they're really interested in finding out about the improvements that these motherboards bring to the table in terms of audio. And for ROG series motherboards, we've really spent a huge amount of time to develop a class-leading audio design. In fact, ROG series motherboards were the first on the market to be able to implement fully isolated audio designs directly on the motherboard, really ushering in the new benchmark and the industry norm in terms of motherboard audio. And for this generation, we've continued on trend to really elevate our SupremeFX audio design. So what does this really comprise of? A couple of different things. And you're going to specifically find these design implementations on the MAXIMUS X HERO as well as on the MAXIMUS X Formula. For the Apex, it will feature our SupremeFX isolated audio design, but won't feature some of these more specialized functions and features that are going to be on the Hero and the Formula. So what do we have here? One, we of course have the full isolation audio paths. We've got audio-grade capacitors, but we also have the inclusion of a high-quality operational amplifier, not only for line-level output, but also for your front headphone output on your chassis. This allows you to really pump up the soundstage, improve volume ranges, have improved tonality and overall warmth and richness to your audio experience, regardless of whether it's going to be in music, movies, or games. But what makes things really special, and is also a big upgrade from the audio design that we have on our ROG Strix series motherboards, is going to be the implementation of an ESS Sabre DAC. The ESS Sabre DAC really takes things to a whole nother level at really offering a much higher quality level of fidelity. And when you pair this up with our Sonic Studio 3 interface, which is available to you in the operating system, you can really go in and customize the EQ as well as a wide number of different presets for different types of gaming scenarios. You add to this also the customization and flexibility you have to be able to add post-processing to in-game audio as well as outgoing audio, which is common in different types of voice chat, and you really talk about the overall most complete audio experience available to you on a motherboard. Now, going hand in hand with the audio design is actually going to be networking. These are probably really two of the key cornerstones for any high-end gaming motherboard. It's going to be audio and networking. And for these boards, you've got outstanding networking implementations. Like our Strix series of motherboards, these all feature Intel NICs, which are really the industry standard in terms of their overall performance, their reliability, and their management options. But beyond this, they also fully feature our Game First 4 packet priority software. So this allows you to really go in and dive in and customize exactly which network-centric applications are receiving priority and ultimately the most bandwidth so that you can ensure the best experience possible. So regardless of whether you're talking about a video that you're streaming on YouTube, whether you're jumping into your latest multiplayer game, or if you're just looking to be able to get the best browsing experience, you can fully customize this or leave it all in our automatic intelligent mode, and we'll automatically make these adjustments in real time based on whatever you open up. Now, in addition to this though, some gamers are now shifting over from utilizing a hardline connection and looking for more advanced forms of connectivity that are wireless. And in this respect, both the MAXIMUS X HERO, the Wi-Fi edition, as well as the MAXIMUS X Formula definitely offer outstanding wireless capabilities. Both boards come built in with 802.11ac dual-band Wi-Fi 2x2 based antenna designs. This is really impressive as it can offer you significantly faster speeds than 10100 Ethernet cable. We actually find in our testing this can generally offer you between 3 to 4 times the speed while still offering you extremely low latency so that you can get great ping performance and overall great connected online experience. Now, in addition to all these cool functions and features that we've already talked about with ROG boards, they definitely bring even more to the table. And this is really par for the course. With ROG series motherboards, it's about an attention to detail and really giving enthusiasts more specialized functions and features that they've asked for. And this actually comes in the form a lot of times through enhanced software that we provide with these boards. And some of these are going to include, one, our clone drive software. This allows you to easily go ahead and image over things like your Steam library or your operating system from a smaller capacity drive to a larger capacity drive, as well as maybe from an older SSD to a newer, higher-end SSD. You're also going to have a lot of flexibility in terms of being able to manage high-density memory configurations and be able to adjust them in a way to be able to provide you better levels of performance for your system. And this is going to come in the form of our RAM cache as well as our RAM disk software. So with RAM cache, you can actually allocate a portion of your system memory and combine that together with, let's say, one of your hard drives or your SSDs to actually be able to have stabilized and higher levels of performance, especially when you talk about read or transferring performance of that drive to another drive. It can also help to improve the overall lifecycle performance. With all non-volatile flash memory like that in SSDs, they essentially have a fixed life cycle on how much you can essentially read and write from them. And when you can actually go ahead and tie that in with your system memory, you actually have the ability to go ahead and extend the overall operating lifespan of your highest performing SSDs. Now, for users that are looking for the absolute fastest level of performance, RAM disk is going to be a really specialized option that you have available to you. You'll actually be able to fully allocate a portion of your memory and use it purely as a logical drive. And the really great thing is that we've gone ahead and implemented it in a way that will allow it to be persistent. That means even when you shut off your system or reboot it, once you get back into the operating system, you will still have this drive available to you. And when it comes to performance, you can easily see 3 to 4 to 5 to even 10 times the performance that of any type of drive on the market. So wrapping it all up, I think when you account for all the different things that we've talked about, whether it's their awesome aesthetics, of course their support for Aura and RGB lighting, their overclocking capabilities, the premium build quality and the components, and of course all the supplemental functions and features which give you outstanding cooling and control, advanced audio, improved networking, and all these other great functions and features, you can really easily see that when you talk about offering the absolute best of the best when it comes to Z370 gaming enthusiast grade motherboards, you're definitely going to want to take a look at what ROG has to offer.